The main character's name is Sue, the name given to him in this life. He turned 24 this year. He lived poor and his standard of living was not good at all. He rented an apartment in a poor house, and when he went out the landlady would demand money from him for rent. The main character's parents always tried to get rid of him, and when he grew up they just kicked him out on the street. Since Sue didn't have a degree, he had to take any job, and for a while he worked as a deliverman. He got on a scooter to start delivering orders, then driving around the city, he saw superheroes fighting crime. They caught up and punished all gangsters and criminals. The public admired them because if it wasn't for them, but the street wouldn't be safe, but there were people who weren't happy about it. They thought that after the appearance of the superhero headquarters, there were more criminals in town. Suddenly there was an explosion in a building, another superhero saved a girl from that building, the girl thanked him and the superhero asked her to put 5 stars in the review. There are superheroes in this world, but the main character wondered if in his past life he was a cultivator, could that count as a superpower? Sue didn't know who he was, and didn't see the point, since each of his lives ended at 25, he had little memory of past reincarnations, but by all accounts, no matter what he was doing he always became the best. But then, a pot fell on him, lightning struck, water poisoning or a toilet exploded. For example, in his past life, he promised himself that he would never die his world, but who would have thought that a man who never lost 174 fights, being on the list of 100 immortals, would die from a melon seed. After all these events Sue lost the meaning of life and stopped achieving anything after reincarnation. However, he had a goal, to live to be 80. Sue was driving through the alleys and heard someone trying to rob a girl. He demanded money from her. She got really scared and started running away from him. She tried to jump over the protagonist, but she miscalculated her strength and crashed into his face. She screamed for help and asked Sue to help her as they were trying to rob her. Sue told her if she was afraid she could call the police, and if she was in danger she could also call the superheroes. But she told him that the bandit was already close and she didn't have time to call for help, so she wanted to rely on him. Sue thought, if I don't hurry, I will lose the order, which means there will be problems paying for the room. I will lose 1/20th of the balance, so tomorrow I will have to take more on the order, but I am soon 25 years old and I do not want to die. The girl was puzzled. She told him, does he count money in time? Sue answered her, give me another minute in silence and not disturbing counting. At that moment Lin Kuei, a professional bandit hired by the casino, has the ability to cold. He told the girl that she should pay her debts, and if she can't, she can pay with her body. Lin Kuei told her that this courier on a scooter won't help her in any way because he's a pauper like her. But Sue wasn't going to help her. He pushed her away, and was going to deliver the order on time. But she grabbed him and exclaimed, are you really just going to drive away and leave me alone? You replied that he had to go, and warned her if she had no money she shouldn't play anymore, and this situation would be a lesson to her. Suddenly Lin came up to him and told him to get out of here as soon as possible, but Sue looked at him as if he didn't care, but Lin grabbed him and said, how dare he look at him with that look? He said, yes, you know who I am, don't you dare talk to me like that. I'm the leader of the slums here, no one dare look at me like that. Lin wanted to hit him, but at the last moment he jumped out of his shirt and him in the face. Lin flew away several meters, but Sue did not want to stop there. At this time Lin activated an ice shield to protect himself from Sue's attack. But Lin felt the incredible power of the aura. He exclaimed that it could absorb anything in an instant. Sue got even closer to him and hit him again. From the impact, Lin crashed into the wall, breaking it. Then Sue got on his scooter, as he could still have time to deliver the package. The girl stood puzzled as she didn't expect the delivery man to handle level 4 so easily in just one hit. She tried to scan him to see who he was, but her phone couldn't recognize him. Sue managed to deliver the order in time, but no one picked up the phone. He decided to write a message to the customer that the order had arrived on time and the order was hanging on the doorknob. At this time the girl laughed angrily, as now she might not pay her debt for a while longer. She heard a message on her phone, she read it and it said that her order had arrived on time and it was hanging on the. The next morning started with bad news. The owner came to raise the rent. Now the rent per month is 500 yuan weekend. The main character has to pay 3 months in advance. This unexpected news caught him by surprise and disrupted all his plans. On average Sue gets about 5 yuan per order. If you deduct all the expenses for the electric car and other expenses, it comes out to about 500 yuan. He assumed that he should take at least 120 orders a month. But this weekend the 3 months rent must be paid at once, and the main character only had 3 days left. Sue decided to go to the forum to find people who could settle in with him to make it easier to pay the rent. After a few minutes he was told to send them his contact information and after lunch they could come. Sue thought, I'm starting to get easy again, am I going to die soon? It was already 10 o'clock in the afternoon and he needed to start his job as a courier. He thought, because the longer he lives, the more opportunities he has to become number one in any field. Sue has almost forgotten his previous lives. In one of them he was an unknown artist. One day his friend got sick and he helped him draw something. The number of hits in one day was so high that his tablet glitched and he was electrocuted. Thinking of such a thing is dangerous. Luckily he deleted that message, or there were few consequences it could have led to. Although the money from his delivery job was enough for food and rent, was safe working as a courier. After work the main character went home. At that time a man was to come who responded to his ad. Sue went up to his floor and was shocked. In front of his door stood a beautiful, slender, pink-haired girl. She looked at him in surprise and asked if this was his apartment. Sue went up to her room and said she would live here now, but she thought about the day he saved her from the bandit Lin. She said she had a tool with her belonging to the association they are tracked, and if it breaks, you need to explain why. She looked at him and said, and also that day I was chased because of debts. I don't have a house and no money either. Sue replied, if you borrow money, you have to pay it back. She walked into the room and said, you're not leaving me on the street, are you? But he vehemently replied that he wouldn't let her stay here. He told her to get her things and get out of his apartment and threatened to call the police. But she laughed and replied that the police don't care about domestic conflicts. She smirked and said, but you are now intentionally making it so I can't read your mind, but will the association let an unregistered person with level 6 abilities? Obviously living alone in such a rundown place isn't very nice, you definitely have a big secret. He told her if he killed her, no one would know his secret. But she didn't care what he said. She chose the sunny side and said that she likes to wake up to rays of sunshine. But when she entered the room she was disappointed. She said that you cannot save on repairs. In addition the color of the wallpaper is not right. She suggested buying new furniture and paint the room pink. He looked at her displeased and said, you do not understand what I just told you. She took off her shirt and asked, you're not really going to kill me, are you? He embarrassedly replied, how can she just get naked in someone else's house like that? She told him it was her home now, and when she came home she wore her most comfortable. He asked her in surprise if she was afraid something bad would happen, but she replied, as head of the information department of the association, I can assure you that no storm is expected. He asked her, are you really the head of the department? She asked him why he was so surprised, because she was the real head of the department. She started asking him to give her the room, and she was willing to give him the deposit. Holding out the money to him, the main character couldn't refuse, because besides, if he didn't agree, she wouldn't leave him alone. She told him, if you become number one, you play the box, right? But if you're not interested in my help, consider it as if I didn't say anything. Sue asked her how she knew. She replied that she was originally the head of the association's intelligence department, and her job was to track suspicious objects. She asked him if he was interested. Sue replied, You only found out about my secret because I was inattentive, but I'm a man of principle, you won't be able to pressure me, I'm not going to discuss anything with you. She hugged him and asked, you don't really want your important secret to come out, do you? Sue embarrassedly answered her, what does she want from him? She said she just wants to get rich, and has nothing against him. She analyzed his inner complaints and torment, thus she realized that his ability level is about level 6 or above, but she had never heard of anyone with a level above 6 before. I can assume that the reason why you dare not join the association is nothing but fear that the association test would deem you number 1. Although I don't know what the principle of your dying mode is, but as long as you cooperate with me, I can guarantee that you won't have to participate in the test if you join the association. That way you won't have to work hard for pennies and worry about your welfare. Sue asked her, you want to use your position to help me, you and I are not family or friends, why are you doing this? She said that the main reason is money. In addition, the association would guarantee him a minimum of 500 yuan a month and pay him bonuses according to the number of assignments received, with no upper limit on his salary. Her conditions were that she wanted him to share half of his income with her. Sue asked her if she was afraid of him telling everything to the association. She replied that she wasn't afraid of anything, and he wouldn't tell anyone anything unless he wanted to die again. After all, she finds rare talents for the association, and she can protect him and make more money, isn't that wonderful? Suddenly someone knocked on the door. Sue thought it was the landlord, but at that moment the girl began to change. Sue opened the door, and asked the girl in surprise, who is she? The girl replied that her name was Wang Yike and she wanted to rent a room from him. Sue stood in a stupor, he fell in love with her and thought she was so pretty. Wang Yike told him that he didn't answer her when she responded to his offer to rent. When she saw the residential address she decided to come to him. She asked him, have I caused you any trouble? Sue answered, not at all, I'm still looking for a tenant, I had to go to work in the morning, I'm embarrassed that I didn't answer you. You can take a look at the room, it's not a 5-star hotel, but still. She looked around carefully and said she liked the apartment and the price was quite satisfactory. She asked him which room she would live in. But suddenly a girl from the association changed her clothes and asked in surprise, who is it that has come? Wang said that she came here to rent a room. Wang thought, could it be the landlord's girlfriend? Lin hugged her and cheerfully told her to rent an apartment here. Sue thought, are we going to live in a threesome? Lin told her that she is also a tenant and she just moved here. Wang thought, turns out I got it all wrong. Suddenly Sue told them to move away from where they are standing. Lin and Wang asked why, but at that moment there was an explosion and the wall of their apartment broke. A man they didn't know was in their room, he was lying unconscious. Suddenly a man came up and said, someone who only has abilities at the 3rd level, dare to challenge me? You should know your place, association scum, don't overestimate your abilities. His name is Lucas. He is a member of the 3rd squad and he is at level 5 ability. Lin analyzed him, she was scared since Lucas was at level 5 and he is a criminal. Wang thought for a while since she only had level 3 and was not able to fight at all. Lucas asked, are you also from the association? Lin replied that the association soon came to help and told him to surrender. Lucas told her that he belongs to the 3rd squad and he is not afraid of some association, but Lin replied to him that she their gang members, and called all members of the 3rd squad garbage. Lin wondered, as this attack, good possible test Sue ability. But seeing what he does she exclaimed, what does he do in this situation? Sue replied that he was patching a hole in the wall. He wondered, because his dying ability will soon begin to work and he's been taking too many risks lately, although he should be more careful. Lin said that a level 5 criminal is now in his house. But Sue replied that he doesn't care about their showdown, as he is just an ordinary courier. She grabbed him and said that he has a huge power and can affect the outcome of this situation. At this time Wang saw Lucas coming towards them. she was scared and hugged Lin. Suddenly Lucas jumped on them and wanted to kill them all with one punch, but Sue stopped him with his punch without any problem. Lucas told him that he was the first one who could stop his punch. At this moment Lucas transformed into a metal man. Lucas started to attack him, but Sue easily dodged all of his punches. Sue asked him, "If I win, will you pay for my repairs, or I will get in big trouble from my landlord?" But Lucas told him, "If you die, you won't need repairs." Sue replied, "No need to talk to me about death, that word is not in my dictionary." At this time in parallel Sue continued to dodge Lucas' punches. After a while during the fight, Lucas broke the couch in Sue's refrigerator. Lucas told him, "I made sure you are also very strong." Lucas leaned on the broken refrigerator and said, "I suggest you get serious." But at that moment Sue hit him, and Lucas with all his might hit the wall and flew to an unknown direction. Sue thought, "Is this how many orders I need to do now to repair everything here?" Lin and Wang stood in a stupor. They were shocked by the power that Sue has. But he didn't care, as he was worried about the broken appliances and prayed that the landlord wouldn't raise his rent. Lin thought, "This guy definitely has the gift of mind reading, thanks to him, I will definitely get rich." Wang found it hard to believe that Sue handled a level 5 criminal with one punch. After a while the man Lucas was beating woke up. He didn't understand where he was and what happened to him. Sue asked Lin, "When will the squad and associations come, and what will they do?" This moment Lin thought about it, as she was engrossed in the battle that she completely lost her guard. After all, there was no way anyone could have found out about Sue's real abilities. Sue told her that it was all because of her, because ever since he met her, problems have fallen on his head one after another. Wang thought, "They don't want anyone to know about what happened, do they?" She told them she could help them. Gathering the purple aura in her finger, she exclaimed, "You fought Lucas." Wang extended her finger to him, but in fear asked her what she was doing. After a while she edited his memory and he had no memory of fighting Lucas. Lin realized that her ability is hypnosis, and it is quite a rare gift, but Lin didn't understand why Wang is also not registered with the association. She wondered why Wang decided to rent an apartment with her and Sue. Hypnosis and mind reading are very rare abilities and their holders are usually the first to register with the association. Even if the level of ability is not enough to become official members of the association, such abilities open many doors. Lin thought, "I feel our life together will be very interesting." 5 minutes later, association members arrived at Sue's apartment. Her name was Jean Shan. He was the head of the sweep squad. She asked Sue's permission so that she could go into his apartment. The sweep squad does what they do to clean up the aftermath of battles and pacify the population. Lin wanted to protect Sue, so that no one would find out that he could easily defeat a level 5 criminal, so she lied and said that this guy defeated Lucas. Secretary felt something wrong as she couldn't believe that he could defeat a level 5 criminal. The name is only level 3. Secretary asked Lin if she was sure about that. Lin told her that she saw Lu Kai defeat him with her own eyes. Lin said that Sue also helped him a little. Jean believed her and thanked her for the information. She said that she would report everything to the association. After reviewing the report within 3 days they will reimburse the damage. Jean noted that Sue is not registered in the association, but Lin said she would register him herself. After a while, the association members left and they managed to find Lucas' body. The secretary gave him her card and said he could call her anytime, but suddenly Lin grabbed her card and said she had nothing to worry about and would take care of everything herself. After everyone had left, Lin called him into her room. But Sue was in no hurry to go to her. He approached Wang and asked her if she still wanted to rent a room. If there was no desire, he would understand everything. But Wang told him that it was okay and she was willing to live with them. Sue entered Lin's room. She told him that tomorrow she would help him register with the association. he would need to provide identification documents, bank card to open an account. But Sue answered her that he didn't give his consent, and you shouldn't make all the decisions for him. Lin told him, Jin Shan has already heard about me registering you, and if that doesn't happen, the association will start following you. Jin Shan is very smart. You think she believed that Lu Kai actually handily defeated Lucas? Sue told her that's why he doesn't want to mess with the association, because it's too cumbersome. But Lin told him that way he would have a chance to survive, and told him that if he's smart enough, he won't turn down her offer. She asked him, or is having a steady income not enough for you? What else do you need? Or should I persuade you by other methods? Sue confusedly replied, what does she mean? But Lin told him to relax, and she would never have thought that he would be so easily embarrassed. And she asked him not to turn down such a lucrative offer, because they could make a lot of money. Sue asked her if he had time to think. Lin replied that he had until 9 in the morning to think. After a while, Lin left, and Sue thought about her words because her offer is really very good. Suddenly Sue stepped on a spider. He didn't pay any more attention to it and killed the spider with sheets. But at that time some man was attacked by a large number of spiders. He begged for mercy and was ready to give all his money. A girl came up to him and said that she didn't want any money and she only wanted him. She asked to satisfy her fully, because that way they could make many little spiders. She pulled off his robe. He told her that he was very much afraid of pain. Suddenly she said if he was useless and good for nothing, after which she directed all her spiders. And in a few seconds only bones remained of him. She really liked his apartment and decided to stay in it for a while. All spiders began to join her not body, and she began to transform into a human form. Because otherwise, all men, as soon as they see her true appearance, they will immediately be frightened, but to maintain this form, she consumed her venom. The next morning, Lin watched the news, which said that the city had recently been overrun by South Russian tarantulas and many residents were already affected. There are even cases with fatalities. Residents were warned if they were bitten by a spider, they need to go to the hospital immediately, otherwise they will die of heart paralysis in 10 hours. Lin asked Sue if he thought this news was strange. But Sue didn't think it was strange, and thought it was just an infestation of alien spiders. Sue asked her why she wasn't still at work. Lin said that Jin Shan's secretary had reported yesterday's incident to the association, and they found out that they were renting accommodation with him and gave her the day off. Sue was surprised by this and said that they have a very humane organization. Suddenly Lin came up to him and said that there were still many advantages to their work and asked if he had thought about her offer yesterday. But at that moment from the next room they heard cries for help. Lin and Sue asked, what happened? Wang ran out of the room and said there were a huge number of spiders in their room. Lin ran to help her and started killing all the spiders. But she couldn't do it alone and asked Sue for help. He came over and told them to step back. Lin asked in surprise what is he going to do. But at that moment he activated the fire skill and pointed it at the spiders. Then Sue said that he is very much afraid of spiders. Lin could not believe that Sue has fire magic, and did not understand who he even is. He told her, aren't you a mind reader, try to guess who I am. Lin angrily told him not to dare to pry into her thoughts. After which Sue was going to send to his job as a deliverman, and told them if they have nothing better to do, they can clean the apartment. But suddenly Wang said that the association just released the news that all restaurants and other places will be closed today, so you don't have to go anywhere. Sue was scared because if he didn't make money today, he would soon be kicked out on the street. Lin handed him the phone with the news and said that it was because of spiders. But Sue said that in this life and not going to die from some spider bite. But suddenly, the girl transformed into human form sneezed and asked, who is there berating me behind my back? But a girl with a gun broke into her house. she came on behalf of the association to arrest her. Her name is Hu Xin, he is the secretary of the head of the combat unit, her level 4. The spider girl said that she did not expect that some association doggy would find her location so quickly. She asked, "Sister, do you really want me to put down my gun?" Xin laughed and said that's what she really wanted. But Spider Girl said, "Okay, I heard you, I'm going to disarm now," and at that point she started releasing her spiders. Xin pointed her guns at her and said, "What the hell is she doing?" She replied that her weapons are her spiders, which she loves a lot, so she is willing to do whatever Xin says. But suddenly Xin shot her and hit her exactly in the heart, but she didn't even feel the damage and her spiders started regenerating her body. Xin didn't understand how that was possible. The girl told her that it was her turn to show her real abilities, but unfortunately Xin would have to die. At this time, it turned out that Wang had broken the door in fear as she ran out of the room from the spiders. Su told her that it was the screws that had come loose, after yesterday's incident, and said that he would fix the door himself. He asked Lin if she had something in her room that he needed to fix. But Lin didn't listen to him as she was talking on the phone, she exclaimed that she would come soon. Then she told him that the association had just called her and told her to come immediately. Su asked, "Didn't they give you the day off?" Lin quickly changed her clothes and said she would find a way to pay for the repairs, and offered to talk about everything else in the evening. Wang said Lin looked very worried. Su suggested that it might be related to this spider disaster, whereupon he suggested fixing that hole in the wall. Suddenly another spider came out, he warned Wang about it, she got scared and hugged Su. He was embarrassed and surprised that her hug was very soft, after which he crushed the spider and Wang offered to fix the hole in the wall. After a while Lin arrived at the office, she was told that this information was provided by the fighting department. Lin asked how was Secretary Fei doing. He answered her that fortunately Xiao, the head of the department, managed in time and saved Secretary Fei, but she was seriously injured and was taken to the hospital. Lin asked him, "Aizhong is only a level 4 criminal, didn't Xiao catch her?" He replied that she escaped, but was seriously injured by the department head, must have gone into hibernation somewhere, but the combat department is already looking for her. Lin said, "Okay, I understand, the intelligence department will gather information about Aizhong as soon as possible and pass it to the combat department." Lin thought, Fei is the best level 4 master and never missed a single criminal, why did she lose to this spider woman? That moment the elevator doors opened and the secretary was standing in the elevator, she was surprised when she saw Lin. Lin was happy when she saw her as she needed her help. On the third day after all the businesses and caterers closed for 2 days, the association came under pressure and demanded the immediate opening. And now everyone lived as usual, but the spider disaster was only getting worse. After a while Su continued working as a deliveryman, but customers were not happy as there were spiders in their orders all the time. They were leaving negative feedback, thus slowing Su down and he couldn't become the best at his job, thus he wouldn't die from becoming the best at his job. However, he felt an unintelligible anxiety. At this time the spider girl was badly injured by the association attack, she said that she had not been in such pain in a long time and vowed revenge on them. But because she had a lot of spiders, she sucked blood from them and recovered her strength, but because of this she regained her spider form. Now she would have to find a man and suck him dry. Su had his bought out, used electric motorcycle break down. He was upset, because now he had to spend his money to work again. But suddenly he heard eerie noises coming from the alley, he looked away and saw a spider girl. Su was horrified when he saw a huge spider with a human body. She was very exhausted and had no strength, so she had no other choice and she was going to eat and suck all the strength out of Su. In Life 26, 24-year-old monk Su Xiaowen on an unremarkable evening while on pilgrimage to India for sacred manuscripts, kept his way through a spider cave and was bound by 7 spider girls. He exclaimed to them, "Amitabha, stop spinning, take the path of truth and become acolytes of the temple of the Buddha." Su, who was trying to guide the spider girls to the path of truth, did not yet know what he was facing. They asked him, "Dear monk, tell us, in what scriptures does it say that you can stay with us and play? We have anything you want." But he thanked them and said he wasn't interested in anything. But they told him that they couldn't just let him go, because he had to help them with something. Su was not tempted by the spider sisters. Suddenly it appeared that the various demons and spirits that inhabit this world were looking for people who could work with their hands to find a chance of salvation. Su made them an incredibly beautiful fabric on their special order, but suddenly he was struck by lightning. Su died weaving the most beautiful silk fabric in the world. At this time the spider girl told him, "You can only blame yourself for your bad luck, so who is to blame that you met me, so sexy and charming?" Su asked her, "It was your fault for this spider disaster, wasn't it?" She answered him, "How can you call it a disaster? All the people I ate were scumbags. You were unlucky enough to meet me. I'm so hungry, do you have any last words?" Before the attack, she thought, "This guy doesn't look like a capable person, he looks exhausted, a dystrophic of some kind." Su told her that he doesn't have any last words. She told him not to be so stubborn. She asked him, did he ever have any, if not, but lastly she offered to make love. But Su refused her offer. She exclaimed to him, "What a pity, my poison can cause hallucinations and there will be no pain before death." At this point she started to attack him, but suddenly to her, he moved away from her with incredible speed. When she saw this, she did not understand what had just happened. He grabbed her by the arms and started to beat her to the ground with all his might, and after a few blows she died. Su quietly went home, but at this time, a man from the association came up. He saw this and called his superiors and said that the spider girl had been defeated. At night Lin returned home. Wang asked her, did she really work for the association these 2 days? Lin replied that she had just been informed that spider girl Zhong had been defeated, but he was still in the residential area. Lion and Su began to communicate by mind-reading power. She told her that he had died in a past life because of these spiders, so he decided to get back at her. She asked him why didn't he tell her this before, but he said he really couldn't help himself. Lin handed him an envelope and said, "I registered you with the association. This is your payment for defeating Lucas." As Lu Kai took his share, the salary is relatively small. He saw the wad of dollars and was shocked. He exclaimed that he joins the association. Lin told him that next Monday he would go with her to the association, to enter a new position. The next morning Su woke up and saw someone lying under the blanket. He was frightened because he distinctly remembered that he was lying down alone. Looking under the blanket he saw a strange girl and was very frightened and closed the blanket. But he woke her up and she asked him why he woke up so early. He sat bewildered, and didn't understand how she knew his name. She hugged him and said she was very hungry. But Su looked at her and asked, "Sis, who are you exactly?" She answered him, "Did you forget me so quickly? You forgot yesterday though wait, I get it, oh these men, use and immediately do not remember the name." Su told her that she is something confused, because he certainly did not touch her and told her to go to his home. But she told him, "You mean in reality?" Su asked in surprise, "Do you have superpowers?" But she laughed at him, and at that moment Su's patience snapped and he angrily asked who she was and what she was doing in his house. She told him her name was Wang Yihan. He thought her name looked very familiar and asked her, "Are you related to Wang Yike?" At this moment Wang Yike walked into Su's room and was horrified. She asked, "Sister, what are you doing here? And what were you two doing?" Su told her, "You got it all wrong, we don't know each other at all." After a while he sat down to breakfast and thought, they don't look alike at all, what is going on here? Ihan told her, sis, long time no see, you're growing up well, but Wang told her, I still have a long way to go. Su asked Wang, are you sure she's your sister, you don't look alike at all. Also, why did you say you have a long way to go? Am I blind? Wang replied that her sister is the leader of the clan and she is absolutely superb. Since they belong to the succubus clan, a succubus of this level like her sister can change her appearance at will. Originally a succubus is a kind of demon that appears in a man's dreams and somehow seduces him. And by succubus in this world we mean exactly those who have the ability to seduce others by hypnotizing them. Since hypnotic ability is extremely rare, succubus clans have become a tidbit for everyone. Even the association is happy to accept people with the ability to hypnotize. Ihan said, since my sister decided to rent an apartment with you, so I'll help her get along with the landlord. She snapped her finger and at that moment her appearance changed a lot. She said that they would do something fun with her sister. The clan of people with hypnosis powers are not necessarily called succubus. The reason why the Wang clan is called a succubus clan that most of the clan members are women. For hundreds of years, women in the clan have used their abilities to serve different powers, and over time have formed a powerful clan. Wang Ihan is the most prominent clan head in the last 50 years. Ihan walked up to Su and asked why he was silent. Su asked her how she wanted him to react. She said, could it be that because of my sister's presence you are deliberately disrupting your feelings for me? Su replied that anyone who sees a strange girl in front of him for a panic, and besides, not all men like big breasts. Ihan was furious at him, but could not say anything to him. Wang thought, damn, my sister is angry, we need to make Su stop provoking her. Suddenly Su stood up and said, my scooter died, I need to go out early today to fix it. If you're here to visit your sister, I don't mind, but if you have other goals, please leave. Ihan couldn't believe that her charms didn't work on him. But suddenly a pink aura began to appear around her body. Wang exclaimed, what is she going to do? Suddenly a bow appeared in the hands of Ihan. This hypnotic ability Ihan can instantly increase human lust dozens of times. Anyone who is hit by the arrow will fall into incredible hallucinations and cannot get out. The arrow hit right in the back Su. Wang fell to her knees and thought, is this the end of it? Su turned to her and asked what she was doing, but suddenly beautiful girls appeared before his eyes. Ihan was also in these hallucinations and told him, if I do not let you out, you will stay here. Wang ran up to him and said, what should I do if he stays in hallucinations too long created by my sister? He will lose his human form. At this time Su thought, hypnosis can be developed to such a high level, it's quite interesting, after so many reincarnations this is the first time I get into such a powerful illusion. Ihan thought to herself that Su some strange, and at this point Su praised her for doing such a good job. But she told him not to talk to her so smugly, and began to threaten him. Ihan told all the girl to devour him. In the fantasy world that she created everyone's willpower is gradually breaking down. She told him, I knew you were renting the room to my sister, I just wanted to tease you, but I didn't expect you to be naughty annoying. I changed my mind, stay here forever. But Su smirked and asked, do you really want to break me? But resolutely answered her that his willpower cannot be broken. Suddenly he had a protective barrier that could protect him from all the girls. Then he told her if the flow of time in her illusion is different from the outside world and if he has time to deliver orders, then he will make concessions and forgive her. But if he does not deliver everything in time, but at this point Ihan interrupted him and said, what other delivery are we talking about and how can he think of anything else at this point? Su began to attack her and told her not to blame him for beating her. She was scared and did not understand how he could use abilities in her illusion. Ihan asked him who he was. But it was too late, he grabbed her by the throat and she felt an incredibly powerful energy. He told her furiously, try to guess who I am." She began to gasp and said, "No human but me can use the abilities in her illusion." Su told her, "Are you saying that I am not human?" He let her go and said that hypnosis may be rare in this world, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know how to get out of hypnosis. After all, he can only succumb to hypnosis if he sees fit to do so himself. Ihan got down on her knees because she did not expect to meet such a monster when looking for her sister. She assumed that the association does not even know about the existence of Su, otherwise they would have allowed him to quietly walk around the streets and deliver orders. Ihan again took the bow for the illusion and said if the association knew about him, they would lock him up and experiment on him. Su wondered if she wanted to use hypnosis in her illusion again, because that would also put her in a double illusion and not be able to get out. But Ihan replied that she was not afraid of anything because meeting a monster like him is rare and she wants to see what she can do. Su laughed at her and said he wouldn't move. But Ihan asked him what he was doing all this for. He told her that he was just giving her a chance to try, and he himself was wondering what would happen to her double illusion, because this level of illusion was good enough, but what would happen at the next level? Ihan shot an arrow at him in anger and told him not to be so cocky from now on. The arrow flew straight at Su, but suddenly it collided with an invisible wall and the glass wall broke. At this time Ihan's body started making sounds in real time. Wang ran up to her and wondered what was happening to her sister now. Lin came up to her and unhappily asked, "What are they doing here since early morning?" She said that her door is not repaired and because of that it misses all sounds. Wang said it was her sister lying there. Just now she was fine, but suddenly fainted. Wang had never seen her sister faint when she used her powers. She asked Lin what she should do. Lin checked her pulse and it was normal. She told her to lie down and it should go away soon. Lin asked her surprised, if this is her sister, then what is she doing in Su's room? Su froze in one place and Lin asked him why this girl fainted and what does this even mean. But Su was in an illusion and didn't answer her anything. Lin kicked him and told him to answer her question immediately. When she saw that he fell like a mannequin, she asked what it was with him and said that he was totally sick. Wang said that Su is in her sister's illusion. Lin wondered if her sister's last name is Wang and she uses an illusion. She realized it was Wang Ihan, head of the Wang clan. Wang said it was her. Lin said the two of them need to come to the association. But Wang did not understand what other association she was talking about. Lin asked her, did she really not know anything or was she pretending? After all, not only is her sister the head of the Wang clan, but there are also rumors that Ihan is one of the 7 deadly sins, and Ihan is a lust. Wang did not understand how this could happen, and how could her sister join this sinister organization. Lin said that their intelligence department never criminals by mistake, they just want to call the two of them just to talk, and after clarification they will let them go. But Wang said that the sister is now unconscious. Lin activated a tracking mode, mind reading. This mode is an effective interrogation tool that can penetrate the opponent's subconscious and find out their secrets. However, this is a rare gift, and the deeper the criminal hides, the more power the spellcaster uses, so unless there is a major criminal case, it is usually not used. But after using it, Lin exclaimed that she saw nothing, and everything was like darkness. At this time Ihan got to the second level of her illusion, which was bottomless. She thought he's here too. After all she thought she had managed to drag him along. Ihan thought she knew all the granite of her subconscious until she encountered a statue unknown to her. Looking at the stone statue she didn't understand who it was. Suddenly the statue's eyes glowed red. Ihan thought, obviously he is here in my illusion, but why does it feel like he is the master here? And his overwhelming energy is just suffocating. At that moment the statue pointed a finger at a black hole. It said, "Do you want to know who I am?" She was transported to another place and she didn't understand what it was. She saw all the past lives and reasons for his death in his past lives. Sue went behind her back and said that he himself didn't know who he was, and all he knew was that it was all him. Everyone in the endless circle of reincarnations was him, everyone who died was him, everyone who grieved inconsolably was him too. Sue asked her if she wondered why he controlled her illusion, but he didn't really know why himself, and he just wanted to find out. Ihan said, "Sir, I know the rules, I didn't see anything." She thought, "This guy's strength is so strange, if he fights me, I will definitely lose." Sue asked her, where did her desire to kill him disappear? Ihan replied that she was not stupid to fight in such a situation, knowing full well that she had no chance to win. He asked her why the hell is there a statue of him in her second-level illusion. But Ihan didn't want to answer his question and said she got bored and now she wanted to go home. He wanted to get back out of here and sell it to the association. Sue told her after she gets out of here and she won't remember anything that happened here because, like he said at the beginning, if she drags him in here, she won't get out either. She told him back what he's talking about can happen if they lose their minds in this place. Ihan swung around and said, he doesn't need to do anything now, he just needs her to imagine that the illusion is complete and they can get out anytime. But suddenly her magic and power didn't work, she didn't know why that happened. Sue asked her, she really doesn't need help. But she tried to dispel the illusion, but all her attempts were unsuccessful. She wondered if it was because of what he said at the beginning. At that moment Sue swung and broke her illusion. He saw Wong trying to wake her up. Ihan was shocked and didn't understand how he did it. After a while Sue got out of the illusion and regained his consciousness. Suddenly he felt a strong pain in his nose and said, "Lin, did you do this?" She replied, "And who else tried to shout to you for half a day, and all to no avail?" Sue told her, if his nose is broken, he will claim compensation. But Lin said, isn't she the reason they got out of the illusion? This point Ihan also got out of her illusion. Wang asked her how she. Ihan said she was very dizzy. She wondered what happened after we got to the second level of the illusion. Why can't I remember anything and why is Sue acting like nothing happened? Lin walked up to Ihan and said, since you are awake, please follow me to the association. Ihan asked her who she was and why should she go with her to the association. Lin said that she is the head of the intelligence department, and she suspects that she belongs to a criminal organization, and offered to cooperate with her until clarification. Ihan asked until clarification. This point Lin got nervous. She said that after she returned from the association they would continue this conversation. Ihan said that she would then expect her to return. Ihan said that they both have mind-reading abilities and asked her not to try to ferret out all her secrets. Lin thought, how does she know what abilities I have? Ihan told Wang that it was time for them to go. But Wang told her that she didn't want to go anywhere. Ihan looked at her with a penetrating look and asked, have you decided to disobey me? But Wang replied that she would never allow herself to disobey the head of the clan. But Sue said, you took your sister and my tenant, I will keep a close eye on you. After all, the rent they never paid. Ihan said it was their business and she had nothing to do with it, and she only came to get her sister back, and she wasn't interested in anything else. Wang apologized to Sue and said she would come back here as soon as she sorted out the family business. Lin asked him if he thought those sisters seemed a bit strange. The younger one is bowing down to the older one, almost falling on her knees in front of her, and this behavior of the sisters is not like. Suddenly Sue shouted and asked what time it was. It was 10:30, and Sue had no time to fix his scooter. He looked at Lin and said that after he met her, he started to get into trouble everything, but she asked furiously, what did she have to do with it? Wang and Ihan came out of the apartment and there were many guards standing in front of the exit. They said they were glad to see Mistress. Wang did not understand why so many guards. Ihan told her to quickly get in the car as they were in a hurry. At this time Sue saw this and was perplexed. Lin came up to him and said, this shy girl turned out to be the second mistress of the Wang family. Lin asked him, since he now works for the association, why does he keep delivering orders? Su exclaimed, really, why does he keep working as a deliverman? A few days later Wang was already home, was combing her hair and told her, if you don't comb your hair well, you might not get married. But Wang said she didn't want to get married. But said that her grandparents had found her a good groom, so she couldn't refuse. Wang didn't understand why she had to get married, but hugged her and said it was her duty. 5 minutes later the clan had arrived and they went to meet. Suddenly the man told her, I feel sorry for you girl, besides the wedding date has already been set, the wedding will be at the end of the month. Unless there are any surprises, the wedding date will not be changed. Ihan told her that there is always the possibility that something unforeseen will happen. The man approached Wang and began to scrutinize her from all angles. He said that she has good pelvis and will have healthy children, but Ihan laughed and said, does the Ouyang family still believe in this? He said that the Ouyang family has only one heir, and they need to think about future generations. After all, he came here specifically to see the good's face. He said he was very pleased and looking forward to the wedding at the end of the month. Ihan and the man shook hands and wished each other good luck. Suddenly Wang turned to Ihan and said she wanted to go rest. Ihan didn't mind and let her go out. After Wang started to leave, Ihan told the man that her sister was not very sociable since childhood and asked him to ignore it. Ihan said that after the wedding they would discuss the terms of cooperation between their families. He replied that his master is looking forward to it. From childhood to this day, no one has ever cared about Wang's feelings. Unlike her sister, Wang has always been only a tool in the hands of the Wang family. She should not complain. Many generations of their family have gone the same way. Wang started to cry a lot, because she didn't want to follow that path. But suddenly Su came up to him and said that her makeup was leaking. She was shocked and asked him how he got here. He surprisedly said that he just walked in through the open gate. Wang asked why no one detained him. Su said security that he was a courier and they let him through. Wang took his hand and said that if his sister found out he was here, it would be very bad. She ran to walk him to the back gate and asked him never to come to her again and look for her. Su asked him to explain why she cried. She wanted to explain to him, but at that moment she heard sounds in the bushes and said there was definitely someone there. Uncle came out to her. She asked what he was doing here. He said he had just escorted the Ouyang family manager and now he was going to water the flowers in the garden. Uncle saw them holding hands and asked her, Miss, is that why you do not want to get married? Wang let go of Su's hand saying that he just misunderstood everything and there is nothing between them. Uncle said, I think I understand what a tragic love story. A girl born into a noble family fell in love with a poor courier. She decided to give up the wealth of the family for mutual love. However, this girl has already found a rich groom and set a wedding day. But Wang told him that this is not at all. Suddenly Su took her by the hand and exclaimed, Uncle, you are absolutely right. Do you want to help two lovers? But Uncle coldly replied that he didn't want to help them. It's already a perversion. If someone so easily helps poor lovers, it can't be called a good tragic story. Wang told Uncle that he shouldn't listen to Su. After all, he is only her landlord and nothing else connects her to him. Uncle replied to her, Madam, it seems you have fallen into the mire of love and got bogged down in it. Stand back, I will help you understand this boy's true feelings. Su said that he is just a courier, and should he even fight with him? But his uncle answered him that an ordinary courier wouldn't come in here. Su admitted that he used some cunning, but he didn't hurt anyone, and he only wanted to see Wang. But his uncle didn't want to listen to him anymore. He told him to shut up and started attacking him. But Su was so fast that his uncle lost sight of him. Su was already behind his back. He twisted his arms and told his uncle that he was old and shouldn't act like a hot-tempered youth. But Uncle wasn't going to give up that easily and activated fire magic and tried to attack him. But Sue easily dodged that attack and turned to Uncle and asked him to listen. Sue said that apparently Wang was crying because their family doesn't hear and care about each other. Uncle asked Sue, what clan was he from? Sue replied that he has no family or clan and is alone in this world and a simple courier. Unexpectedly Uncle exclaimed, Level 5, Raging Flame, show me the way. Uncle has never used techniques of such high level. He thought that Sue is a good opponent, however, Uncle couldn't trace his movements. Sue tried to stop him, and said that there is no need to use such strong techniques, because he has no reason to fight him. Uncle stood in a stupor. He thought, did he really predict my actions? Does he have abilities too? Sue replied that he can only hear thoughts, but he's not a psychic. Uncle didn't believe him, because no one else but psychics can read minds. He asked, then who is he? But at this moment Wang used hypnosis and Uncle lost consciousness. Sue said, unexpected turn however. Wang explained to him that she used hypnosis to induce Uncle to lose consciousness. She told him to take the opportunity and told him to leave their house through the back gate. Sue asked her, will she not go with him? But Wang upsetly replied that she couldn't go with him since she was getting married next. Wang started to cry. She said he didn't have to help her since they were nobody. Sue answered her, okay, then I will go. But at that moment Lin jumped down from the tree and told him to stop. Wang asked in surprise, when did she manage to get here? Lin grabbed Sue's shirt and exclaimed, did he really just decide to just pick up and leave? Then why did he look for her for half a day and bring her here with him? Wang told her with the power of his thoughts to shut up, but Lin replied to him, if he doesn't help now, in that case, she will report him to the association. After all, after the association captures him, they will start conducting experiments on him and soon he will die. Wang was happy, because Lin and Sue came here for her. Sue said to Lin, ah you bitch, think you are so tough? Lin replied to him, ah you stooge and god complex. Sue thought, looks like I will die in this life because of this broad. He walked up to Wang and said, if you don't want to get married, tell me that. At this point she couldn't get her act together and answer him. Sue said, I ask for the last time, if you tell me that you don't want I'll help you, otherwise I'll just pretend nothing happened today. Then Wang cried hard and exclaimed that she didn't want to get married and she didn't want to live like this. And begged to get her out of here. But Sue covered her mouth with his palm and asked her not to scream so hard. They had the complete feeling as if they were staging a coup. Lin told Wang if she refused to rent an apartment with him, but she couldn't live alone with this jerk. After Wang agreed, they didn't know what to do next, because they had no further plan. Lin told him how could Sue come here without any plan. But he replied that initially he didn't think to help Wang, he just wanted to make sure she was safe. After all she rented a room, and if something happened to her, the police would obviously suspect him. Lin angrily told him he was a dick. Sue said to Wang, come on, if your sister decides to look for you, let her meet me first. Wang wondered, and my family, what will happen to them? He replied that people who make her do things she does not want and do not care about her, they cannot be called family. Wang said, well, there is always a way out, we will solve problems as they come. Then Sue, Wang and Lin went home. After a while, as Uncle regained consciousness, he reported that Wang ran away with her friends. Ihan told him that their incompetence was just annoying her. Uncle asked her forgiveness and was ready to be punished, but Ihan told him he had nothing to worry about. Uncle promised her to bring Miss Wang back home. But Ihan said not to worry, as they still had plenty of time. Uncle asked, would she really let her sister live outside the house? Ihan said, I want to see if she really wants it or is it just talk as usual. Wang since childhood seemed detached, and just floated along, her behavior now she is extremely interested. However, Su really is a strange man, because Ihan did not even remember what happened in the double illusion, and she suspected him of doing something to her. After a while, Gulu came to her. She said with surprise that she hadn't seen him in a long time. Gulu told her that Mr. Chien Sun had asked her to ask why she had not been to the last meeting. Ihan said that meetings were an ineffective form of communication and told him to tell the elder if he needed anything. But Gulu said that Mr. Chien Sun prefers traditional methods of communication, although he knows how to use social media, and it is not heard that her succubus family was afraid of society.